Hey guys, I just wanted to do another video on George Soros is backing climate activist Greta Thunberg. I found this today. Okay, from the Europe Reloaded project. In a short piece for Cosea online magazine titled, I tried to interview Greta Thunberg, the most fervent defenders of the climate, knowing nothing about it. Mark Reisinger details how he met Greta on the streets in Stockholm during one of her climate sit-ins. I've heard you telling students to study the climate. I'd like to interview you on this topic if you agree. He sensed her discomfort, perhaps fear. Then she pulled off her wool cap, at which point a middle-aged woman appeared, pulling Greta away, saying she had something else to do, all with the help of a bodyguard dressed in black watching the scene. The video showing this encounter has English subtitles. Reisinger rightly wonders how some of the globalist bigwigs can prostrate themselves before her when clearly she's virtually mute with adults, only able to chat easily with other young people she's recruited to persuade. His sense is that she's been programmed, manipulated no less, to give apocalyptic speeches in front of the great and good, and wonders if her autism is used as an excuse to shut her up at key moments. Reisinger also interviewed a secondary school teacher on video in French who encourages his students to protest against global warming. We've published a lot on why this is fake science, yet he appears to know no more than his students on the topic. Free West Media below gives us the connections between Greta's handlers, her mother, George Soros, and Bill Gates through his one foundation. The globalists are relentless. George Soros is backing Greta Thunberg. Behind the world-famous 16-year-old climate activist, there's a liberal oligarch and a globalist movement. Free West Media. Greta Thunberg has become world-renowned because of her fight against climate change and lower Earth temperatures on Earth. Lower. It started in 2018 when she began a school strike on her own, standing outside the Swedish Parliament with different placards trying to shape opinion and get young people to join. Sounds like she wants them to join a cult. The Swedish mainstream media quickly picked up on her one-girl mission against climate change and wrote several articles about her. Few citizens of Sweden could back then even dream of what the future would hold. Soon enough, Thunberg met the Pope, spoke in front of the United Nations, and has even been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Sorry guys, I hold no respect for the Nobel Peace Prize anymore. The once lovely 15-year-old girl has become world famous. The once lonely 15-year-old girl has become world famous, more or less overnight when international mainstream media started reporting about her 15-day-long school strike. Arnold Schwarzenegger even invited her to a climate meeting in Vienna. So here is this young idealist. Greta Thunberg is now 16 years old and the daughter of famous opera singer and left-liberal activist Marlene Ernman, pictured above, who in the background has helped her daughter get started. And that's not the lady there, that's a different lady. That's her handler. Thunberg soon also got her own coach, which is this lady here, a well-known climate activist from Germany by name Louisa Marie Neubauer. What is the likelihood of a young girl who starts a school strike outside the Swedish Parliament getting school children from all over the world to join her cause and fight against climate change? And how often do 16-year-olds have their own coaches? Louisa Marie Neubauer, who has been captured on numerous images and videos together with Greta when the two direct climate change protests all over the world, belongs to the organisation called One Foundation. It has several well-known wealthy financiers, including Bono, as well as Bill and Melissa Gates? Melinda is, oh no. An even more striking name is that of the multi-billionaire oligarch George Soros, notorious for his currency speculation and maybe even more prominent as the father of global radical and left liberal lobby and activist network Open Society through supporting thousands of NGOs. Okay. Then I wanted to show you something else. Just bear with me for a minute. This is her mother. And this is her mother doing some really weird stuff with people with those masks on. If you've ever looked at the Rothschild surreal ball, I think it is, they dress like this. There's something to this, guys. This is like a cultish. This is not normal. Anyway, watch this.
Och handla lite mat, det är inget konstigt alls, nej, nej, nej. Och det är inte en massa assistenter och sådant som folk kanske tror. Nej, nej, bara jag och mina dansare. Jag handlar precis som vanligt folk gör. Och tacos och pizza. Och jag har ingen rysk kaviar här, inte som folk kanske tror. Nej, nej, nej. Inget konstigt alls.
Anyway, that is her mother. And I believe there is seriously something wrong there. Something wrong with this, guys. And it goes into the occult. That is this girl. What they're doing, I believe, is child abuse. This young girl has Asperger's, or Asperger's, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you look at any of the videos of her, she is pretty much freaking out. This young girl has been brainwashed and she's scared and it's scaring other children, and this is ridiculous. We're causing mental illness, guys, by this rubbish, and the media are doing it by putting her all over the TV. And then kids are getting taught in school about climate change. This is ridiculous, guys. This is absolutely ridiculous. And her parents should be held for child abuse. I'm sorry, but they should be. And anyone else who wants to pay her to do this. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I won't be there here tomorrow, which might be later in the day for some people. I have a funeral to go to, so yeah, I'm hoping to still tune in to MJ and catch MJ's live. I may not be able to comment much, but I'll be there. I'll try and be there. Okay, guys, have a good one. Bye. A quick look at Greta and her Masonic cabal ancestry and the people backing her here in Europe. We had the joy of MK Greta for some time. A quick look at Greta and her Masonic cabal ancestry and the people backing her. Here in Europe, we had the joy of MK Greta for quite some time now. What is this rubbish? Why can't I get to the whole... Okay, I'll try that. Okay, this is the most obvious social engineering operation I've seen for quite some time. There she is. God knows who that is. Greta the Great. Oh no. Fridays for Future, Greta Thunberg. The European Union should spend hundreds of billions of euros combating climate change during the next decade, the chief executive said on Thursday at Reuters. Is that all there is? No? Okay. Where does she come from? A relative of her father, the chemist savant Arrhenius, is the founder of the global warming scam. There he is. Svante Arrhenius was a Swedish physicist and physical chemist who formulated the theory of electrolytic dissociation, for which he was awarded the 1903 Nobel Prize. One of the founding fathers of physical chemistry, Arrhenius is also presented a revolutionary revolutionary model of the greenhouse effect. And this is him, 19 February 1959 to the 2nd of October 1859, was a Swedish scientist, originally a physicist, but often referred to as a chemist. Arrhenius was one of the founders of the science of physical chemistry. He received the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1903, becoming the first Swedish Nobel laureate. In 1905, he became director of the Nobel Institute, where he remained until his death. Now, this is the links to him. There's Greta. Then there's her mum and dad. And then it goes over to his father. And that is his father. And then you've got on this side Anna Horn, Olaf Arrhenius. Who are these two? Svante Gustav and Carolina Thunberg. I can't make it out. Number 2, he was colleague of Alfred Nobel, Russian Rockefeller, and later, after his death, director of the Nobel Institute. He was a board member for the Swedish Society for Racial Hygiene and a eugenicist. See a pattern here? Saga of the Nobel family and the Russian oil industry. That'll be the Rockefellers. This essay explores the gendered lifestyle of early 20th century physics and chemistry and shows how that way of life was produced through linking science and home. In 1905, the Swedish physical chemist Svante Arrhenius married Marja Johnson and established a scientific household at the Nobel Institute for Physical Chemistry in Stockholm. He created a productive context for research in which ideas about marriage and family were pivotal. He also socialized in similar scientific sites abroad. This essay displays how scholars in the international community circulated the gendered lifestyle through frequent travel and by reproducing gendered behaviour. Everywhere husbands and wives were expected to perform distinct duties. Shared performances created loyalties across national divides. The essay thus situates the physical science at the turn of the 20th century in a Borgias gender ideology. Moreover, it argues that the gendered lifestyle was not external to knowledge making, but rather foundational to laboratory life. A legitimate and culturally intelligible lifestyle produced the trust and support needed for collaboration. In addition, it enabled access to prestigious facilities for Svante Arrhenius, ultimately securing his position in international physical chemistry. He was a board member for the Swedish Society for Racial Hygiene, founded in 1909, which endorsed Mendelism at the time and contributed to the topic of contraceptives around 1910. However, until 1938, information and sale of contraceptives was prohibited in the Kingdom of Sweden. Around 1930, conservative members of the society helped to establish eugenics policies in Sweden. Gordon Stein wrote that Svante Arrhenius was an atheist. In his last years, he wrote both textbooks and popular books, trying to emphasize the need for further work on the topics he discussed. In September 1927, he came down with an attack of acute intestinal catarrh and died on the 2nd of October. He was buried in Uppsala. Arrhenius was the grandfather of bacteriologist Agnes Wold. 3. There is also this strange magazine article, and oh look, it's about a gendered lifestyle. ISIS? An assemblage of science and home, the gendered lifestyle of Svante Arrhenius and early 20th century physical chemistry. Number 4, Thunberg is a known Freemason family. The ancestor of her mother was a natural philosopher, social engineer from Uppsala, who has ties to Bavarian Illuminati founder Adam Weishaupt. 5. Her handler. On the photos behind her, you see Louisa Marie Neubauer, her handler. She is a member of one foundation managed by Bono, Bill Gates and George Soros. Now look at everywhere this girl is. She's. Number 6, the agenda. They operate like in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. They want the kids hate the old for killing the earth. They radicalise the kids against adults violently. They push for totalitarianism. The Chinese Cultural Revolution led to the death of 100 million people. Oh, so democracy is the planet's biggest enemy. Young people care a lot about climate change, but most of them can't vote. Here's how governments can adapt to accommodate them. And you really want kids voting when they don't know. A lot of them don't have any sense, guys. Like, I know at 16 I didn't have much sense at all, really. Seriously, I really didn't have much sense. And wisdom comes with years. The problem with Greta Thunberg's climate activism, her radical approach is at odds with democracy. Yes. Hail Greta. The symbolism, number 7, the symbolism. The movement is called Fridays for Futures, FFF, 666. And note how they style her. They all do it. They use children. One-eyed symbolism. Again. Good versus evil. Predictive programming. X symbolism. They recycle the exact same symbolism from Hollywood's 1984 version of Orwell's novel and Pink Floyd's The Wall. Is that like fireworks or something? Aren't they supposed to be caring about the environment? What's going on there? What is it? Even if they were using smoke machines, you think if they care about the environment...
No future on a dead planet. There is no future on a dead planet. There is no future on a...
Okay, that's enough. That's the X symbol. Okay. Logo, symbol, sticker. Oh, the Extinction Rebellion's part of this. Okay, yeah, that's understandable now. Germany, ideology and intentions come out to view. More and more schools in Germany are forcing students to do so. They're forcing them to strike, guys. Yes, you already guessed it. George Soros is backing climate activist Greta Thunberg. Europe Reloaded Pam Barker, director of TLB Europe Reloaded project, in a recent short piece for Censura Online magazine. Titled, I can't read that, Interview of Greta Thunberg. Thunberg soon got her own coach, a well-known climate activist from Germany by the name Louisa Marie Neubauer. Pictured. What is the likelihood of a girl who starts school strike outside Swedish Parliament getting school children from all over the world to join her cause and fight against climate change? And how often do 16-year-olds have their own coaches? Louisa Marie Neubauer, who has been captured on numerous images and videos together with Greta when the two direct climate change protests all over the world, belongs to the organisation called the One Foundation. And that's what I've read. The house is on fire, guys. Quickly. The sky's falling. She wants you to panic like she is. She wants you to be scared how she is. As you may have noticed with the fake doomsday propaganda during the yearly occurring Amazon fires, the climate cult tried to brand themselves with the slogan, "Our house is on fire," or "Our house is burning." Here we go. Someone from Twitter. Oh, Emmanuel Macron, the French president. Our house is burning, literally. The Amazon rainforest, the lungs which produces 20% of our planet's oxygen, is on fire. It's an international crisis. Members of the G7 summit, let's discuss this emergency. First order in 2 days. I don't, mate. They do it every year. Jeez. Yep, okay. The house is on fire. The sky's falling. We're all doomed. On Friday, hundreds of thousands of young people around the world took part in strikes to demand action on climate change. More than 4,500 strikes were... The house is on fire. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. See, there's the brainwashing. Someone's doing this to her, and it's child abuse, mate. To make a child fear that much, then I want you to act. I want you to act as if your house is on fire, because it is. And Bernie could not help it either today. When your house is on fire, you don't worry about the cost of calling the fire department. It's time to do the same with healthcare. We'll pass this Medicare for all. What's that got to do with climate change? So no one will be afraid to call an ambulance due to the cost. This term originates from 2016 from an emergency paper plan written by psychologist, social engineer Margaret Klein Salmon, founder and executive director of climate mobilisation. Looks like this warmongering. Look at this warmongering. It's disgusting. And it is. Now we are in a generational war, already divided by every mean possible: gender, race, religion, politics, and now even divided by age or generation. United, not divided. Solomon's plan lays exactly out, using nicely coded words, though, what happens today with the youth, and the same slogans are used today as laid out in 2016. In her updated paper, she proudly brags about how much of a plan is already in place. Leading the public into emergency mode, noteworthy, the journal blog. You do whatever you can to put out the fire or exit the house. You make a plan of action. Your senses are heightened. You are focused like a laser, and you put your entire self into your... I think they should put themselves in the toilet. See, leading the public into emergency, they want everyone to panic. They want you to panic, like your house is on fire. That someone told you, help, the house is on fire. Can you please pour a glass of water on it? One glass is all it needs. You'd be confused. If we're really dealing with a house on fire, how could a solution be so simple and easy? You wouldn't suspect that there are no crises, just exaggeration. Likewise, when the scale of the necessary response to the climate crisis is minimised, it prevents people from entering emergency mode. We need to come out as being in emergency mode. Climate alarmists, as horrified by the crisis and as ready to make major changes in our life and the economy for the duration of the emergency. We need a climate Pearl Harbor. We know they tried to push hard during the Amazon fires, but they were fast debunked and failed. Now have a look at what's written in this emergency plan. Exactly such a situation. A climate Pearl Harbor, and as they failed, is still on their agenda. By far the most powerful trigger for the hive switch is a catastrophic event that clearly signals the arrival of an emergency, particularly an external attack. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor led the United States to flip the hive switch and enter emergency mode in an incredibly powerful and productive way. Further digs needed. Extinction Rebellion also tied to this German human trafficker, who recently rammed a boat in Italy under the guise of rescuing refugees. Solomon and the climate mobilisation connections and background. Credit to Oliver Janik. I hope I'm saying that right. And just pictures of... Solomon's plans lays out exactly out using nicely coded words. We just read that. I have read that. Are they going over it again? Looks like it. She is a victim. The kids screaming at the adults are too, and her parents are probably too, because they were born into this cabal family and MK'd themselves. It is not wise to react with anger and hate. It's designed to make us angry. Choose love. Okay, and here we go. Climate emergency talking points. Climate crisis can turn to World War II. 2 or 3? Word for word from 2. Word for word from their pathetic little plan. Bernie Sanders likened climate change to World War II as he and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez unveil emergency resolution. AOC Sanders call for climate emergency declaration in Congress. Quickly, the sky's falling. The resolution echoes the core ideas of the Green New Deal, saying global warming demands a massive mobilisation of resources on par with the US response to World War II. And do you know what the Green New Deal's about? It's not really about the climate. No, it's about socialism, bringing in socialism. Socialism leads to communism. Hitler was a socialist. Nadler, climate change is a greater threat than World War. They want you to come to a hive mind. They want everybody to think the same way. That's what a hive mind is. You all think the same. The German climate plot, Greens and Greta grandeurs. A thread with details about Greta Thunberg and Fridays for Future's connection to Germany. Guys, the Germanic climate plot, Greens, Greta and grandeurs. Okay, let me see if I can. German climate activists meet Greta Thunberg at US climate conference in Poland. Greta Thunberg receives an important German media award. German real estate millionaire invites her to sail across Atlantic Ocean on Malaysia 1-2 carbon super race yacht. And you know how much carbon it would take to make that? Okay. Formerly known as Gitana 16 and Edmund de Rothschild, Benjamin Rothschild was first owner of Malaysia 2 yacht. It's Malaysia, I think. My glasses are so bad. Home to the Principality of Monaco, Malaysia 2 yacht has many German sponsors. Prince Albert of Monaco supports the Malaysia Ocean Challenge, a mix of sailing research and education climate activism. There's an agenda. Okay. The manufacturing of Greta Thunberg for consent, the political economy. What's infuriating about manipulations by the non-profit industrial complex is that they harvest the goodwill of the people, especially young people. There's obviously more to that conversation. It just cuts off mid-sentence, though. If anybody wants to keep infos, I suggest archiving the thread. This is exactly what I experienced growing up under social dictatorship and hearing stories from my grandfather who fought his life against fascism, and exactly the reason I made this thread. Hello, Twitter support. How can this lies-spreading idiot still have an account? Wide awake. A quick look at Greta and her Masonic cabal. And this is what's next. You've been warned. Fight, fight, fight. And then death camp for Trump supporters. Okay, that's the end of that article. It just goes with the other one, guys. Look, this whole thing's bloody ridiculous. Seriously, mate? Seriously? Okay, guys, I'll catch up with you soon.